Gurminder Bhambra, professor at Warwick University and also at Linnaeus University. I'm very happy that you're able to sit down and have a short conversation about one of the key concepts in post-colonial theory today. Recently, we've seen post-colonial theory challenged by what is often termed decolonization or the decolonial option. How are these two movements different?
I mean, I think they're both really interested in answering the same sort of question. And I don't particularly see them as existing in opposition or as a challenge to each other, but much more sort of thinking about them complementarily. So this idea that post-colonial theory emerges largely out of literature, out of English language studies and so on. It comes out of the work of people like Edward Said, Gayatri Spivak, Homi Bhabha, and it's very much focused on examining the colonial relationships between Europe with the Middle East and South Asia, and predominantly in the 19th century. Decoloniality, which is much more associated with the work of people like Anibal Quijano, Maria Lugones, and of course Walter Mignolo, comes much more out of sociology, philosophy, the social sciences more generally, and is focused on the relationship again between Europe and its colonial empires, but this time in the context of Latin America, and obviously with a much earlier provenance, so from the 16th century onwards. So in this sense, both post-colonialism and decoloniality focus on different geographical spaces. They're looking at different time periods, but ultimately both of them, I think, are interested in thinking about the world that's come into being as a consequence of these colonial enterprises.
Do they encourage different kinds of engagements with the decolonial or the post-colonial world at the same time? Post-colonial literature, again, focuses on literature to a great extent. I'm thinking about that partly, but
I mean, I think that's certainly true. I mean, a lot of the work that's come out of post-colonial studies has ended up being located predominantly within English literature, cultural studies, in questions of representation, mimicry, hybridity, and so on. And for me personally, as a sociologist, encountering this work, what I've sought to take from it are the provocations that it enables us to use to open up questions in the social sciences. So I think the work of post-colonial studies has been very productive in terms of opening up new questions to engage with and think through in the social sciences. And decoloniality comes much more out of a straightforward historical sociology, so it's more familiar to the sorts of debates that I've been interested in. And again, I see them as offering different sorts of resources. So depending on what it is, what questions it is that you wish to answer, you could mobilize resources from both post-colonial studies and decoloniality in order to help answer those questions.
So what resources then would you say that post-colonial studies and decolonial studies are best placed to engage with?
I mean, I think in a sense, both schools of thought really question this idea that knowledge has been produced in and of the West without any account of the interconnections and what I've called the connected sociologies, building on the work of Sanjay Subrahmanyam and the notion of connected histories, that the world as it's come to be has come to be as a consequence of the colonial entanglements that have produced that world. And similarly, the knowledge with which we come to understand that world has also been produced out of these connections and entanglements and so on. And so I think with both decoloniality and post-colonial studies, that they push us to rethink our standard concepts and understandings in terms of thinking about how they emerge out of these connected sociologies.